Okay, hello everyone. Carl Pickering speaking here, and we're live. So I'm just going to sort some stuff out, get the screen right. All right, just making sure that if you can hear me, comment, say, yep, we can hear you. Great. If you can't hear me, let me know. Okay, it's nice to know, especially when you're doing these recordings. It's got the old label in the background there. Going to put mine up for a reason. But anyway, no big deal. And so here we are. Here we are. I'm just checking my screens down here to make sure we're actually live. I'm going to see if we actually can hear me now. No big deal. And so here we are. Here we are. I'm just checking my screens down here. Checking my screens down here. We're all good. Alrighty. So get this cord out of the way. Checking my screens down here. Checking my screens down here. Turn that volume down. Cool. So at this moment, I should be streaming one to my live Facebook page and my profile, and we also should be streaming to my ministry page. And so if you're part of Unprecedented Ministry, hello everyone again. It's been a while. You're part of my profile page. You've seen I've been writing a lot, but I haven't done a lot of live videos. My last live video was the Sunday. I can't remember the actual date. I think the election, the USA American election was the 17th of November. I could be wrong there. Someone tell me if you want to comment, whatever. Kevin, thank you. Yep, with I can hear me great. So cool. How you going, Kevin? And so on the Sunday after the election, I think the election might have been on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something. It's the day or two after, for that rest of that week, most of the people in my circles, most of the people on social media who are Donald Trump supporters were in a bit of shock because Joe Biden at that stage had looked like he'd won. The news reporters were all saying he'd won. The TV stations, the newspapers were coming out. It didn't matter who you watched, he'd won. We had the Australian Prime Minister come out and say congratulations to Joe Biden. I mean, I don't know why there's someone in such a state of power, or in such a place of high, such a high place of power would come out and jump the gun like that. I mean, why would you do that? I don't understand. That just to me was just really a weird thing to do. And but just like everything's going on right now, it's a weird thing. So on the Sunday was the very last video I did. On my Unprecedented Ministry page, we usually do a fellowship on Sundays. It wasn't every Sunday, it was just basically as God led us to do, and it turned out to be quite a few. But on the Sunday after the election, so it would have been around about the November the 20th, mate, 20th or so, was the last time I did a video. I came on and I stood by everything that God had told me. And that day, I said a few things. I said Donald Trump will be president still. I outlined a few things about what would happen, not to the detail, because I haven't got the detail. I had no idea it was going to go this far. I really didn't. In fact, for the sake of all of us, it would have been just nice if it was over and done with, a couple of weeks ago, right? Or before Christmas even. It would have been nice to come into 221, all done with, dealt with, and go on with our lives. All right? But that's not reality. In fact, for most of us and for most people, some of you might be waking up to the fact that reality actually really isn't reality. There's a lot of stuff going on right now in the world, and has been for a long time. And over the last 4 years, we've seen a lot of stuff, especially for those who have been awakened or starting to get awakened, or even just Donald Trump supporters, are starting to get awakened to certain aspects of life that maybe wasn't real to a degree. They're waking up to the fact that they've probably been lied to for a very long time. And we're talking about generations of people, generations and generations and generations of people that have been lied to by the governments of this world, by the newspapers, by the media, by everyone. And it's interesting because in the Bible, there's a scripture in the Bible that says that the root of all evil is money. The root of all evil. Money isn't evil, but the root of evil is money. Now that can be also put into an individual level, but on a world scale, if you follow the money trails, guess what? You're going to end up probably with a few elite people in this world. And that's reality. And the problem is with your governments and the newspapers and all the news that you've been receiving, and really the narrative that they've been feeding you up till now, and still are, has been really been played out by a few groups and few unique people in this world. And don't get me wrong, it's quite an intricate web of people, but families married into families and all that sort of thing. And it's been happening for a long time. And they own the newspapers. They own the people who come into government to a degree. They dictate, whether it's through, I've read all sorts of stuff on the internet about, how these politicians have been blackmailed and these unique people have been blackmailed. But I'm not going to go into things that I can't actually prove to be true to a degree. So here's what I do. I bring forth, I have to come as a ministry, and as a ministry, when it comes to unprecedented ministry, I have to come from someone who was a voice for God, as all Christians should be. Not just me, but all Christians should be. So in other words, we have to get to a stage where it's God speaking through us. So if we're bringing that in to here and speaking that, it does actually start to filter in and actually change what God's actually said to us to a degree, because we're bringing in some of the stuff that the world's told us to say. Does that make sense? So let's reiterate on what I said. And I wrote 18 months ago, and I said it, and I said it on the Sunday afterwards. Okay. First of all, I said it will be decided in the courts, this election. Now, funny thing is, that hasn't happened, has it? To a degree. What hasn't happened? The courts themselves never allowed Donald Trump and his team to even present their evidence. Was that the decision in the courts that God was talking about? I don't know. I couldn't say that. But we also talk about, there's another court. There's the military courts. Now, that's a fascinating argument, all right? So I talked about that, but there's going to be courts. I told everyone that God had shown me that there was going to be martial law in America. I also said Congress will have to be rebuilt. We haven't seen any of that happen yet. Possibly could. But one of the last couple of things that have been happening, and God started showing me before Christmas, was the actual war that we're in. See, I'm not a big fan of actually warring to a degree. I understand there's warfare happening around us everywhere in the spiritual realm, but in the natural, there's an actual war happening right now. This very moment, for the last 4 years at least, maybe longer, but for 4 years, we've been in a war. The only difference is now us, the public, are starting to become part of that war, because we're seeing what's going on. We're seeing the corruptness. We're seeing the way that, even just an election to say, why can't you do voter ID sort of thing? We're seeing all this. It's being exposed. See, God is in the game of exposure. And yes, he's using a man called Donald Trump to expose all this. Does that mean no? See, the trick is God didn't know just have to use a man, but God had to get a man, a group of people behind the man, and then He had to get an army who was willing to follow the man. God's always used men to bring the enemy and subdue him in this earth. God has always used men. God can do anything, but God's always used men. So what I'm talking about now, I'm going to keep this really quickly because I actually believe we're going to come. Remember this time, everyone's been talking about this darkness, this stuff going on. There's going to be like 10 days of darkness and all that sort of stuff. Now, I'm not going to say there's going to be 10 days of darkness. I don't know. But I'm going to share to you now what the Lord's just spoke to me today. And you know what? I don't really care if it actually comes to pass or not, to be honest with you, because it really doesn't bother me. It just doesn't. I just do what I'm meant to do. In the coming days, we're going to see, well, we've already seen how the enemy is acting with social media, right? We've already seen how the enemy is acting with social media. We've already seen that. In the last 2 days, it's been profound. And it should shock everyone on this earth, but the problem is you're not going to shock those. They don't care. The ones who are like Democrat supporters and all that, and elitists and more government thought processes and all that sort of thing, and just believe everything the mainstream media is teaching them. All right, remember I spoke about earlier in this video, the lies that they've been told, the narrative, the false narrative. All right, everyone's living under a false narrative. Those people who continue to live under the false narrative, believe in what the news is telling them, the mainstream media news is telling them, are never going to actually understand what's going on until it actually happens. So, but you're seeing social media like being controlled and manipulated and shutting down the voices of anyone and everyone who speaks against the narrative or even speaks in a way they don't like. So what's going to happen in the next couple? I'm not saying in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, or it could be next couple of months. All right, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Social media will shut down for a time. Will it be a long time? No idea. Will it be a short time? No idea. Will it be? No, it won't be forever. And I don't think it'll be a long time. I think you'll see, if you want to call it blackout, you can. Right? There's going to be a social media blackout for a little short time. Facebook will come back on. And when Facebook comes back on, it's going to have new ownership. It's going to be in the hands of the people. And it's going to have people who oversee that, and laws are going to be written to protect the integrity of free speech on social media platforms, deliberately, so this time never happens again. Facebook will come back, but it will have a different infrastructure. All right? When I'm talking about infrastructure, the infrastructure at the top, all right? You won't see Mark Zuckerberg at the top anymore. You won't see his fact finders and all those people around him and all these, or whoever runs that whole show up there. You won't see these people in charge anymore, but the people and whoever they put in charge, I'm not saying who, I don't know who, but there's going to be people, obviously you need CEOs and people to actually oversee things like that, whether it's the American government or some other government enterprise, I don't know, but there is going to be a new infrastructure, and Facebook will keep operating. It may operate a little bit differently, I don't know, that's not really what I've been shown and told. I've just been told that Facebook will keep operating, but it will be put in the hands of the people, and new laws will be written to protect the integrity of what's put on the social media platforms. Free speech. Secondly, Twitter will be no more. Twitter will be no more. They'll get shut down completely and never to return. Will we see other? We've already seen other social media platforms. I'm just saying there's going to be a social media blackout. Whether that means every social media channel, I don't know. I'm guessing I guess that's what I interpret it that way, but I could be wrong. My interpretations are terrible. All right, so I just say it as it is. We'll see martial law come into place. We'll see Congress go down, and we'll have to see, and we'll see Donald Trump and his team have to rebuild Congress. Totally. And that's what's going to happen. So expect the social media profiles to be shut down at some stage. Okay, people are already talking about that sort of stuff. Well, it's going to happen. Is that the blackout? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Here's how we work. We win as Christians. I keep talking about keeping your gaze on Jesus Christ. I keep talking about this spiritual awakening that this is happening. And yes, you keep your gaze on Jesus Christ, but I've always said that everything is a secondary consequence of your relationship with Jesus, okay? What I've come out and just done today was actually based on the fact that God gave me a vision and a word, and he talked to me, and Jesus said, this is what I'm doing today. So I've come out. This is my secondary consequence right now of my relationship with Jesus. That comes first. This is still doing my gaze with Jesus. It's now just being presented in an external way. Does that make sense? Understand this moment right now and what's going on in the world is for the goodness of humanity. It is for the goodness. We're going to come into an unprecedented time of God's goodness. Like a time we've never seen before. This isn't a rapture moment. This isn't a Jesus in the flesh returning, but we will actually see the return of Jesus Christ within his people in such a greater degree that the world is going to acknowledge it. This is awakening. God is about to pour his spirit up on all flesh, and the way he's going to do that is by awakening the spirits of his sons and daughters. This is the time. This is what's going to happen. For some people and a lot of people, this isn't going to be the easiest time for them because they're not really sure what's going on. See, most Christians out there I speak to don't have a clue what's going on really. That's why they're worried. They're looking at this, looking at that. I'm looking at it all too. I'm reading it all. But I also have God in me who's actually allowed me to walk in such a peace and rest. See, warfare is not something I have to war to a degree. God does all the warring. I have to just stay seated. And I love being seated. That's my place. That's your place, to be seated and at rest. So for those who are believers in Christ, it's your time to focus your mind on Jesus, to allow him to awaken your spirits and find that place of rest and peace. And then allow that to manifest into who he wants to create you to be. To be the better person in humanity, to be the exact person he wants you to be Christ-like, which is to actually be like who he created you to be. It's that time. It's your time. I come on here to just talk about the events that are going to happen, but now I'm talking about Christ. Isn't that amazing? That's who I am. That's what I do. Okay, so that's probably me finished. I'm over and out. I only wanted to do a short video. I'll just to say to come back on. Look, I'm not surprised if all this gets shut down in the next couple of days. It could be longer. It might not. You know what? If it doesn't happen at all, great. Doesn't happen. Life goes on. If that's where I'm at, that's where we're at. Okay. I feel like I keep knowing that I've got to move into my business ministry, etc., and all that. But at the same time, I knew there was a halt. When I did that video on the 20th of November or 21st or whatever it was, it's still on my Unprecedented Ministry page. Okay, you can go check it out. And I stated out what's going to happen. But the fact is that when I did that video, I wasn't sure, but there was no reason to come back on. There was no reason to come back on and do another video. See God's doing what God's doing right now. And we've got to let it happen. We've got to sit back and let it happen. The people are in place. Not just that, the voices are being risen. Okay? The voice has been risen. Just like myself right now, I'm speaking. There's voices out there that are being risen up. And they're going to speak loud. But right now, the things we're doing on social media, hey, if you're feeling like to hold things, it's probably a good time to hold it, because you know what? It's time. That's how it is. But you wait until this thing's sort of not all over, but wait until we've got to that stage where he's done what he has to do with Donald Trump. He's done what he has to do with America, and and don't get me wrong, this is a worldwide thing, all right? This is a worldwide. This is defeating a key place in the enemy's arsenal, and it's going to allow us to come in and move into the areas and take absolutely dominion over the areas of this earth, in finances, in all that, in finances particularly. Why finances? Because it's the root of all evil. Why the financial realm? You watch it. It'll be handed over to the people who are the righteousness people, all right? Righteousness, who are they? The ones who believe in Jesus Christ and have a full-blown relationship with Jesus. All right, I'm out of here. Love yous all. God bless everyone in Jesus' name. See you later.